And we are live. What is going on, YouTube? How's everyone doing tonight? I got memes of destruction here, man. What is up? Crypto Alchemist Bernie in the house. Lord Ludacris. Yeah, hopefully this new appearance on Brett's podcast will get me some new inflow on the traffic. We'll see. Seems like my subscriber count is mysteriously stuck at 113,000 subs. So it's kind of weird. I agree. Should absolutely look into that. Yes, skepticism, awesome stuff. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask him which Osama. I should have said which Osama was that? The one who had was dying on liver failure, on kidney dialysis, or the one that dyed his beard and hair and in the newer film that looked like it was an early CIA deepfake. Pretty crazy. Yeah, I we've heard that term pushed around a lot, and YouTube puts that warning at the bottom as soon as you start talking about certain topics. So they blacklist you, and that's a real thing. But it's hopefully going to change. I hope that maybe we got through to Shermer on some of these points, and if we didn't, then hopefully some of the after arguments and maybe a round two would get through to him. And also, while this is going on, I would love to challenge Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp to do a debate with Michael Shermer. I debated Mick West. I debated Michael Shermer. I would love to see some of these supposed top insiders and most knowledgeable experts that are on all the top channels. I would love to see them take that challenge. So I'm going to put that challenge out there, and let's try to hold those guys to it. So I had some Shermer notes. A couple people pointed out some mistakes. One of the mistakes is this guy in Skull and Bones class of 1947 looks a lot like Mac Wallace, or Malcolm Wallace, LBJ's assassin, whose fingerprint was found in the Texas School Book Depository on the 6th floor on one of the boxes. And interesting guy, interesting history. He might have been one of the shooters involved in a conspiracy, if there was a CIA conspiracy to assassinate the president, which I argued in favor of against Michael Shermer, who argued against that theory in favor of the Warren Commission's findings. And so just for everyone who watched that debate, let's do a poll. Let's do 1 if you think I lost the debate and Shermer won. 2 if you think that we really just need more investigation into these things and it was a standstill. And 3 if you think that I won the debate. So let's type in your numbers and we'll take account of who thinks what, who caught that. But anyways, Malcolm Wallace, his alma mater is University of Texas, Austin, where he actually was, I think, a professor or something for a period of time, interestingly. But yeah, he was the Department of Agriculture, and he was an American economist. But he did not go to Yale. Of course, Skull and Bones is a Yale secret society, a senior secret society at Yale, which is in Connecticut, not Austin, Texas. So this individual in the front row who went to Yale is not Malcolm Wallace. And if you see this graphic around or anyone sharing that, please kindly correct them on that, because that was a mistake that I was just brushing up on some of my research, and this is something I came across in the things on Malcolm Wallace. So it might be disinformation or along with the fingerprint, who knows, that might be put out there to kind of point more towards LBJ. Who knows? There's a lot of suspects in this conspiracy, a lot of very interesting characters that surrounded Oswald, and and the Texas Dealey Plaza, the school book depository building, this whole thing. So that picture, really, the three tramps. But yeah, Oswald, if you're to believe the official story, this was the debate. Right here, if you haven't seen it, you can go watch it on Rumble, and it's also on the DarkHorse podcast channel here on YouTube, which is Brett Weinstein's podcast. And Brett was great at keeping things on point, calling out some of the logic and some of the arguments that Michael made against the evidence and stuff that I was presenting. The new, of course, the details found in the autopsy report for Robert F. Kennedy and the bullet holes around the extra bullet holes at the Ambassador Hotel are physical evidence that, regardless of if it happened differently, it happened differently, or it would have happened, if things would have been different argument. I think that's a powerful piece of evidence. Also, I mentioned Antonio Veciana, and I never gave his name. And I found the video with him in it. This is him. And I think it was Bill O'Reilly who interviewed him way back in the day. And then he tried to meet up with him again. And this was him in the car. Yeah, watch this video. We're going to watch this video right now. Let me share the audio. Let me share.
There is now considerable evidence of Oswald's links with agents from the CIA and the FBI in the months before the assassination. In August 1963 in Dallas, the CIA operative Antonio Veciana met with his case officer Maurice Bishop. Bishop was the CIA coordinator of the most violent anti-Castro exile group. And in Dallas, he also met with Lee Harvey Oswald.
Actually, Harvey Oswald in Dallas, in a meeting of 10 or 15 minutes with Mr. Maurice Bishop in Dallas at that time.
And you feel certain that Oswald was working with or associated with American intelligence?
Well, at least he was associated with Maurice Bishop. And if Maurice Bishop was intelligence, he was working for the intelligence service in the United States, I don't doubt that he was working with him.
The Select Committee on Assassinations will at this time come to order.
The most damaging sealed documents of the House Select Committee on Assassinations accuse high-ranking officials of the Central Intelligence Agency of lying to the people of the United States about Lee Harvey Oswald. House investigators believe this man, David Atlee Phillips, met with Oswald 2 months before the assassination. Phillips was the CIA's chief of Western Hemisphere operations and was in charge, among other things, of plots against Fidel Castro. According to the secret reports, Antonio Veciana, a leader of anti-Castro Cubans directed by the CIA, saw Oswald talking to a senior CIA agent he knew by the cover name Maurice Bishop. Veciana provided enough information for House investigators to compile this sketch of the agent who met Oswald. Could it have been Phillips? Investigators believe it was. Phillips denied under oath that he knew Oswald, but House investigators did not believe him and wanted him charged with perjury. The government declined to prosecute, leaving investigators furious. The director of the CIA in 1963 was John McCone.
Had they prosecuted David Atlee Phillips, it would have opened up a lot of this back then. Honestly, there's a number of people that just should have been rounded up and arrested and been considered as suspects, right off the bat. And those people would be keys in pulling a lot of the strings of the whole thing behind the scenes. So the majority of this. All right, so let's keep going on about CIA Director Cohn.
Caused a sensation among committee staffers when he admitted there was an agent using the cover name Bishop. But a secret memo reveals he was allowed to reverse his testimony. A CIA lawyer wrote the committee, "I should inform you that he had been in error. In summary, Mr. McCone withdraws his statements on this point. The man who fingered Maurice Bishop, Antonio Veciana, was shot in the head soon after testifying, but survived. Frightened, he will no longer talk about the case. We caught up with him in Florida.
They wounded me in the head. They trying to kill me.
You know why? Why would anybody?
I don't know. Perhaps the FBI knows. The FBI knows.
Did they tell you?
No. Actually.
David Atlee Phillips died of cancer in 19...
Yeah, so one of the key arguments that Shermer brought up was, how many witnesses in Dealey Plaza, heard shots coming from the school book depository building versus, how many heard shots coming from the grassy knoll. And he said, the majority of all these witnesses, heard the shots coming from the school book depository building. And I was like, well, was this like the first, was this the Warren Commission testimony you're basing that on, or the original investigation done by the Dallas police? Because the Dallas police investigation is very interesting and highly flawed. So when the Dallas police heard about the shooting, everyone left the station and headed down to the school book depository building, and that left Dallas Police Captain Westbrook behind. If I could find anything on the Dallas Police Chief, Dallas Police Chief Westbrook. You're not going to find anything about this. So let me just let me pull this back up, and I'm going to share another window here. We're going to watch the trailer for this movie next. And but I want to get into the police. We'll get back into that police officer, Westbrook, and where his whereabouts during the whole aftermath and investigation. There's a number of people on the Dallas police force that should be looked into as potential suspects. Roscoe White, I mentioned. Roscoe White was, let me just bring him up. Roscoe White, here we go. No, not the James Fetzer site. Yeah, don't go. If you look some of this stuff up and you find James Fetzer, try to avoid that one. He's really bad. One of the worst. I think he's got to be disinformation, because he came out and put a lot of disinformation out about 9/11 and stuff too. So don't trust the James Fetzer thing. And I have a debate that I have somewhere with James Fetzer from way back on the Boston bombing. I don't know if it's posted anywhere still, but I can try to find it and get it out there. But yeah, Roscoe White, Dallas police officer, he was in at Sugi with Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald, and he was in the Civil Air Patrol apparently. So very, very curious individual. And of course his son said that, he found his dad's journal after he died, and it said it with a confession that he shot the president and handed his rifle to a military man. Oh no! So he gave he had a Mauser, handed the rifle to the guy standing beside him, who was dressed as a train. This guy was dressed as a train worker. Someone saw this guy take the gun and from the police officer, disassemble it and put it inside of this train box with the tools, and then leave the site, and then walk off the site. And then I guess the investigators would have gone back later to that train thing and opened it up and removed the rifle, and someone would have been someone else's job to get rid of that rifle after the fact. But they were in the back parking lot behind the picket fence, behind the grassy knoll. Apparently there was one of the riflemen was a Dallas cop dressed as a Dallas police officer with the rifle. And he grabbed the film from this military man, according to his, testimony. And I've, of course, believe we've tracked down that military man. And I want to play his clip right now, if I can find the right one. His name is Gordon Arnold. And Gordon Arnold was there. Let me find the good clip of Gordon. It was maybe Badge Man too. It was on a Badge Man thing where they identified that they saw the police officer there on the grassy knoll. A lot of people said they saw the police officer on the grassy knoll and that he had a rifle. And this guy had a film of it, Mr. Gordon Arnold. And the only film I can find right now here is this one. Let me see if I can share that on here. Oh,
the big problem is that
this is an extended personal interview with him, I guess.
Taking place. Well, it was just on the other side of the tower over there, if you remember.
But yeah, this is the extended audio interview that someone did, an interview with Gordon Arnold, who was standing right to the right of Zapruder, and a much better vantage point to see the grassy knoll. And his film was, he says the police officer jumped over after he handed the rifle to the other guy, jumped over the fence, took his film, and then left. And then Roscoe White's deathbed testimony matches this. But I don't know if investigators have taken this piece of evidence seriously in the case, but it's a very serious thing, as is the whole Ruth Paine story. Now, the Paine story is definitely a pain for the CIA to deal with. About 80% of the Warren Commission is based on Ruth Paine's testimony. 80% is based on either her testimony or evidence that was provided to the Warren Commission by Ruth Paine, who was Oswald's landlord. Now, in 60, I think it was early 61. So this is according to the declassified CIA document. Ruth's sister, Sylvia Hyde Hoke, was listed as an employee of the agency in the Falls Church, Virginia local directory in 1961. So in September of 1963, Ruth goes out and stays with her sister. All right. This is a month before the assassination. She goes out. She stays with her sister, who's a CIA asset. After she leaves, she drives back from Virginia, and she has to go through New Orleans, and that's when she picks up Marina Oswald and Lee and gives them a ride to Dallas. And she gives them a place to live and gives them a job. And apparently, Lee applied to a bunch of places looking for a job when he was, there, that the Paines were going to help them out. And I don't know who introduced who, but George de Mohrenschildt was a good friend of all this whole network and knew these folks. And turns out that Ruth Paine also was friends with Mary Bancroft, who was the CIA director, Alan Dulles' mistress. So, lots of serious high-level CIA connections with Ruth Paine, the innocent Quaker who was just trying to help out the Oswalds and give them a place to live and house them in Dallas, give them a job at the, ignore phone calls. I guess Oswald applied for a job as a baggage handler at the airport, and that would have made way more money than he was making as a warehouse guy at the school book depository building. But apparently the Paines never forwarded the phone call to Oswald. Why not? Because Oswald, according to her CIA handlers, their sister that she'd met with on the way just a month before, picking up Oswald and bringing him here to get him set up. Oswald needed to be at that school book depository building that Harold Byrd ran. Harold Byrd, of course, owner of the school book depository building and the Civil Air Patrol. And then later on, aerospace invested in some aerospace, technology companies, which made a killing in the aftermath of Johnson and Johnson taking over. So let's watch this. Let's watch this movie, shall we? The trailer.
Yes. I first read about Ruth Paine 10 years ago. I was surprised to find that this sweet old Quaker woman has been suspected of playing a role in the JFK assassination.
The president was hit in the head.
I'm woven into a lot of people's conspiracy theories.
I think there's certain soft spots where she's lying.
You actually might find one of the real keys to the Kennedy case.
Ruth and Michael Paine are do-gooders whom nobody would have ever heard of if it hadn't been for the accident that one of the people they helped out in life was Lee Harvey Oswald.
One of the officers asked if he had any guns, and I said no.
It was a coup. You can't close the circle without the Paines.
Who is likely to have wanted Kennedy dead? You'd have to say the CIA, but perhaps also the military as well.
It's not mom apple pie in America to think things like that.
A little poll here. How many of you people think there was a conspiracy?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
The Warren Commission withheld mountains of evidence from the public.
Everything I saw pointed to him and him alone.
She's been a disinformation agent.
The veneer has come off Ruth and Michael Paine. I mean, they're just not credible anymore.
Is it a coincidence that it was you, Mrs. Paine, who directed Lee to the job in the school book depository? And it's just a coincidence that the gun that supposedly killed the president was located in your house? All of these things just sort of happened all around you.
Were the last telephone calls that Lee Oswald made to anybody in the world, and they were to Ruth Paine, and the only person who can say what Oswald said is Ruth.
You are not an agent for the CIA, are you?
No.
You are not an agent for the KGB, are you?
No.
Are you laughing again?
Excuse me. No.
Who are you going to believe? I mean, really?
Long term, I'm hoping that real history will prevail.
It's so easy to justify what you do. It is for any of us.
All right, guys. Sorry. That was Danny Jones, the Concrete Podcast, just called me on the phone. Danny just interviewed Malcolm, Malcolm Bendall, but Randall Carlson. So we got some questions out there I posted on Facebook, for him, and we'll be able to see when we get those answered later. So that look forward to that on Concrete Podcast. Bugliosi. Let's talk about Vincent Bugliosi. Bugliosi is a very interesting character in this whole drama. So Bugliosi wrote a book, very, very thick book with lots of detail, about all kinds of things that have, kind of something to do with the real, conspiracy literature, but it's a crippling distortion of American history. This book is a crippling distortion of American history, is what it should say on the title. Because as you know, Vincent Bugliosi was the attorney. He was the prosecuting attorney who tried the Manson murders, right? So everything you need to know about the Manson murders, right? They did this they reinvestigated this whole thing and really looked into it. And they found out that, Charles Manson was connected with the CIA and MK Ultra, so it makes sense that a CIA connected attorney would prosecute Charles Manson for those murder cases, simply because he was covering up CIA involvement in the Manson murder mystery and the Manson camp. Bingo. So Vincent Bugliosi is also a CIA agent. That shit comes out, you can't hide that forever, man. And Vincent Bugliosi died in I think like 2011. Or so no, that's when he wrote his book. Maybe 2007 is when the book came out, and I think he died in 2011. But yeah, this piece of shit, son of a bitch, covered for the CIA, who were technical and involved in the MK Ultra experiments with LSD back in the 60s that led to the whole Manson murder crap, and it's just. It's just insane. And, I didn't say that and come right out and say that during the interview, because it's kind of, I didn't make the full connection, but yeah, Bugliosi is definitely not a guy I would trust on the JFK assassination. You go and find all this stuff. It comes out. I mean, people in the future are going to research this, and they're going to know all these connections, and they're going to say, hey, is this guy a legitimate, prosecutor and attorney looking into this? No, he's a CIA prosecutor who covered up murder for the CIA during the 60s and the MK Ultra thing. So yeah, it's quite clear who a lot of the players are. Now comes the question is, people are asking, well, all right, so there's another book too. That he mentioned, Gerald Posner, Case Closed. Again, another, I don't know too much about Gerald Posner as a person. I would love to interview him or debate him and see what he has to say. But the fact remains that this was published in 2003. Okay, so this is a 20-year-old book now. It's 20 years old. So a lot of new information has come out in the last 20 years on JFK. Let's be serious. And again, I would love to see if people are interested, and if they want to get to the bottom of this. If I know Michael Shermer is a skeptic and a real truth seeker, and someone who wants to find and expose the truth in a lot of different areas and things. So definitely go to America's Untold Stories with Mark Grobert there, and those guys are probably the best in the business right now that I've found. And I've been trying to look around for who's up to date on JFK literature and history, and Marcus and Eric Hunley are just killing it on that. And please definitely go out to their channel and subscribe, join if you can. Also, I have memberships here. If you can join here as a member to my channel, if you like the content and you want to get onto the information and be a member, you'll get better access to certain things in the future. So definitely consider becoming a member and help support these channels, because you got to think these people are fighting, a massive machine to expose a lot of this information. If this is true, then we have a big foe out there that we're up against. And so, people like myself and these guys, we need all the help we can get. So definitely consider helping that. The Missing Link in the JFK Conspiracy. No, I haven't read that one yet, man. I would love to. I'd love to get some of these other books and stuff. yeah, so many strange connections. It's really quite interesting. The whole thing with Bush and Zapata oil. I'm glad I got that mentioned in. One thing we didn't talk about was Operation Northwoods, man. You know, it's crazy. It's like we talked about all this other stuff, but we didn't get into Operation Northwoods and the real reason that, you know, Kennedy was like, yo, this CIA is out of control, dude. CIA planned a false flag against Americans in 1961 with Operation Northwoods, if you want to look that up. It was a top secret CIA plot to pretend to hijack a bunch of planes, fly them by remote control, say that they were planes full of students, and that they were going to shoot the planes down over, you know, with fake names and fake everything. They were going to shoot the plane, you know, pretend like the planes got hijacked or shot down over Cuba. And you can read the whole report. This is an unclassified government document. It's official government document. And it was written in 61 by, I think, Robert McNamara approved it. And when Kennedy found out about it, along with the Bay of Pigs and everything, he was like, he put a shutdown to all the stuff that was going on. It was just like the CIA is out of control. He threatened to shatter them into a million pieces and scatter them to the winds. Yeah, it's a very similar to the 9/11 kind of a plot is what's in there. You'll find it's quite eerily similar, in fact. And I didn't, you know, I regret not bringing that up and sort of using it as a midway point between JFK and 9/11 to sort of connect the two a little bit. Operation 40, yeah, that was the assassinations team. So Operation 40 is important because it shows that the CIA was working with organized crime to learn about how organized crime would commit murders and also, you know, plan, you know, murders and assassinations, and also work with organized crime and others to, you know, as possible assassins, and, you know, whether to recruit assassins, because, you know, the mob has lots of underground connections, and the mob had lots of connections in Cuba at the time. In fact, the mob was kicked out of Cuba by Fidel Castro, and so the CIA wanted to go after Fidel Castro, and they considered using the mob as an ally in that fight, because the mob wanted to regain the casino industry, which was huge in Cuba before, under Batista, before the Fidel Castro takeover. So yeah, there's a lot of politics and you know, of the time and stuff that was going on then, but it's also allegations that it was carrying cocaine and heroin in support of the group, and it crashed in California. So this group was gonna seize control of the Cuban government after the Bay of Pigs invasion. The Operation 40 was going to be like installed as the new puppet government by the CIA once they overthrew Castro, was part of the plan. And so it was, it's some crazy stuff that you know, that they did. And then of course, when Kennedy didn't give air support in the Bay of Pigs, a lot of these people died, and it was a huge army that, you know, these people worked together for years. So a lot of these CIA agents had a lot of their friends killed and were like pissed off at Kennedy because of this. And it's no doubt that these are the plotters, if there ever was a case. It's definitely not closed, and the conspirators are writing history currently, is what it looks like to me. But yeah, and they have been. But let's get into some of this stuff too, because I wanted to talk about the 93 World Trade Center bombing, where a lot of the information of that came out of. And that actually came out of a guy named Ted Gunderson. All right. And, you know, I would love to check out Ted Gunderson's, Ted Gunderson, okay, is the guy that told Alex Jones about Epstein Island years before it was in the news and everything. So Ted Gunderson was an FBI agent. And here's a message to Americans from Ted Gunderson that was, you know, this was from shortly after 9/11.
We were doing a film on Reichstag in 95, 2 years before the World Trade Center had been attacked. We had a little bit of private conversation about who did the first World Trade Center bombing.
The FBI had an informant in among the terrorist group on the World Trade Center car bombing February 26, 1993. And Salam, the former Egyptian officer, 43 years old, was commissioned by the terrorists, he was one of the terrorists, to put the bomb together for the bombing of the World Trade Center. And he went to his FBI superiors. He said, "We're going to use a dummy bomb, aren't we?" And they said, "No, we're going to use a real bomb."
Well, Ted, wasn't this guy a terrorist hired by the United States government, hired by the FBI? In fact, did they not, in fact, give him monies to buy the bomb which went into the World Trade Center?
He was an informant for the FBI against the terrorists. And he wore a body mic on their instructions when he met with the terrorists. And unknown to the FBI, he wore a body mic when he met with the FBI. And fortunately for him, otherwise he probably would have been prosecuted himself. This came out during the trial and appeared in the October 23, 1993 New York Times. This information I'm telling you right now. And so he was told to put the bomb together by the terrorists. The FBI told him, "No, we're going to use a real bomb. We're not going to use a dummy bomb." And the FBI not only furnished the ingredients for knew in advance that they were going to bomb the World Trade Center car bombing with the car bomb. They furnished the ingredients for the bomb.
Well, this is a sting operation, wasn't it?
Sting operation, yes. But nevertheless, sting operations can go down without using real bombs. There were 6 people died in that bombing. I think 1,000 people were injured and $500,000 in damage.
$500 million.
$500 million?
$500 million.
And there's just absolutely no excuse for this. But that's all part of the ploy by the government, this covert government criminal enterprise. I call it rogue government criminal enterprise. It's all part of the ploy by them. After that, of course, the car bombing of 93, Oklahoma City bombing, and then 9/11, and then all these terrorist acts were designed in order to set up Homeland Security, pass the Patriot Act, and take away many of our constitutional rights and civil liberties.
Now, the Homeland Security Act was put together on the same line of thought as was done in Nazi Germany after Hitler's people burnt down the Reichstag. So they passed the Enabling Act, and our Homeland Security Act is, in fact, the Enabling Act. In fact, they're even using some of the same words. So we're talking about setups this year from the FBI. You know how some of these guys work now. So are you telling them that this is an inside job, and these the whole terrorist operation happened when Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman's terrorists were literally given passes, visas, to come into the United States. The State Department they give out the visas, don't they? So if they give out the visas, and they're known terrorists, and then they infiltrate the terrorist operation with Ahmad Salem, a former Egyptian army officer, this whole damn thing was by design.
Absolutely. The whole terrorist movement is by design. As I said, the whole terrorist movement is by design to set up Homeland Security, pass the Patriot Act, take away our constitutional rights. It's all on the drawing board. It was on the drawing board. The car bombing of '93 was just the first step. There weren't enough people killed in order to pass it. So then they had to come along and have Oklahoma City. I think there were 168 people.
Yeah, children too.
In Oklahoma City. And at Dayton Nursery there, the ATF agents' children were not in the nursery that day. Oklahoma City bombing was not by a fertilizer bomb. That's ridiculous. Fertilizer bombs are used to blow up stumps in the back of the farmer's yard. This was by a bomb known as electrohydrodynamic gaseous fuel device, otherwise known as a barometric bomb. The barometric bomb was a highly classified bomb by the government, designed by a CIA scientist named Michael Riconosciuto and manufactured by Hercules Manufacturing, Silicon Valley, California.
We're talking about a daisy bomb?
Well,
is that what they call it?
Yes, I'd say you could say a daisy bomb. I think that's one of the words for it, but I call it a barometric bomb. And this is so powerful, and was tested in 1982, that one of the scientists, one of the technicians died, another one was seriously injured. The barometric bomb was one that was used in Oklahoma City. Now, I gained access to the contract number of the barometric bomb through a science magazine. And I wrote to Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey, where they keep the contracts, which are public source information, and asked for that contract of that bomb. And they came back and said there's no such contract. Yet I had the contract number available to me. And I've since written them again, and they still claim there's no such bomb available. But there was such a bomb, because I personally know Michael Riconosciuto, who developed it, and I have personal knowledge and visited the Hercules manufacturer in Silicon Valley. So that was all part of the master plan.
And Lee Harvey McVeigh.
Lee Harvey McVeigh.
All right, so Michael Riconosciuto. I got to find the spelling on that and look this guy up. But I found some stuff on barometric bombs. Interesting stuff. Wow, that's pretty detailed, man. He gave the manufacturer. See, this is what an FBI agent does when they make out. This is like what a real whistleblower does. Is they give you Hercules Manufacturing, the CIA scientist's name who worked on the project, and the manufacturer who built it and developed it. You have those two things, man. That is what we need to nail down the science end of any argument, or we can get to the bottom of anything like that. So let's see, Michael Riconosciuto. Anyone have a spelling on that scientist's name? Let's look this up. Michael Riconosciuto. Hercules. Okay, I think I got it. Ooh, he's still alive. Is this the right guy, huh? Oh yeah, this is him. All right. Well, that is interesting. This has got to be it. Born in 48. Interesting. He's connected to the Promise software. Yeah, then this is all like deep state stuff. When you get into anytime you see Promise, that's some deep state computer hacker stuff. Very interesting. I never heard of this guy before, but always love it when I find another scientist and can really dig into this stuff, because this helps you, because then you find his unpublished works and stuff if you can. Where is he from? Is he from Tacoma, Washington? Stanford University research assistant. Oh, very cool stuff. Anyways, yeah. Let's. Ted Gunderson was the real deal, guys, and definitely the real deal. Holy crap! That's some good information. When you get the scientist's name and the Hercules Manufacturing, the company, where it's located and everything, it can't be confused with another one. Yeah, this is nuts, dude. Definitely something to look into here. Anyways, let's keep moving along now. 93 World Trade
50
Center
years is starting.
I wanted to should scientists take all this stuff? Yeah, scientists should take all this stuff more seriously. I'm going to play this clip from Avi Loeb, Gary Nolan, and Brian Keaton in a second. Yeah, I'll play this now, and then we'll continue down the rabbit hole.
To be excessive. And the point is, it's not about us, not showing off. It's about learning about nature. And unless you get some dialogue with nature, getting some evidence for what you're doing mathematics, okay? Yeah. And you are trying to show off, but you're not explaining nature. So that's the first thing. First thing is we need humility to learn from nature by experiments, to get the feedback, and respect the data, whatever it is. If it looks unusual, we should not brag that we know everything in advance, that we are experts, that we can explain everything by past knowledge. We should be open-minded to new knowledge. The second point that is really important is that science is about the signal to noise ratio. Yes. Okay. What does it mean? There are all the time noisy, fluctuations, things that happen by chance that do not signify anything unusual. It's just rare phenomena that happen now and then. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what people fail to understand, like in a war zone, if you go to Ukraine, you increase the level of noise. Okay. That's why I was reluctant to consider Ukraine, because there are lots of things flying in the sky, many of which we don't know because the US government wants it to be classified, or the Europeans want it to be classified, or the Russians want it to be classified. But there are things flying in the sky all the time. This increases the level of noise in the sense that we don't know what they are. Okay, and there would be spy satellites, all kinds of things. You have to realize that given that the noise level is high, the chance of you seeing something that you don't understand is higher. Okay, so it's all about how significant is the signal that you detect relative to things that happen by chance in the environment that you're looking at. And that's something that the public fails to follow, because they say, we will go to the war zone because maybe they will be there. But then you have to understand that the burden of proof is actually higher. It's higher. If you are in a noisy environment, you have to work harder to demonstrate that there is something unusual going on. And you know that very well from the cosmic microwave background, from studies of the universe. I mean, we looked for fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background relic from the Big Bang.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, he's saying we shouldn't look in Ukraine, because then we're going to get too much noise from all the top secret drones and futuristic technologies we got flying around in that war zone, and also Russia and other players on that battlefield might have. So yeah, that's an interesting point. I guess if we're looking for aliens and stuff, but telescopes, Abby, we're gonna find aliens with telescopes. That's how we're doing this. And it seems like a great idea, but I like the idea of going beyond a lot of this stuff to try to figure out the physics of how these things work, and reverse engineering it, and forcing disclosure through technology, really. If that's how I'm hoping we can do it. Yeah, the alien, does Avi have proof of alien technology? No, it's some interesting stuff that they scraped off the bottom of the ocean, but there's no evidence of anything technology inside there or anything like that. And again, you can learn a lot from the UFO literature that exists already about UFO technology and what kind of people might have worked on that. I still want to interview Daniel Shechtman. He's the top of my list. Nobel Prize in chemistry for discovery of quasi-crystals. But Daniel Shechtman did his postdoc at Wright-Patterson. And that's when he started coming up with the quasi-crystals and the discovery, So is there a connection between, the guy who discovered quasi-crystals and alien technology? Because this guy did his postdoc at, Wright-Patterson, where they were working on a lot of this stuff. It was, occasionally leaked out to a couple scientists every once in a while. And this might be evidence that we have. That's the only thing I could think of, is that, if Daniel Shechtman comes out and says, hey man, they gave me some stuff when I was at Wright-Patterson at my postdoc that led me to this discovery. But again, if maybe he did just discover it all on his own, and there was no alien technology involved, and it's an insult to the scientists to suggest that we got any of this from aliens. Or maybe, this is, something he can't share, because it's like, all right, well, I got the Nobel Prize for this, but if I come out and tell the truth, they'll take it away. Or I don't think they can, take away your Nobel Prize, or take away the fact that you're the guy that brought this out, or, helped make the discovery, whether you were working on alien technology or not. Maybe you didn't even know he was working on alien technology, and he was given stuff that he was told was, Russian. I would love to just pick his brain and get the whole full story on this, because that's it's quite interesting, the whole thing with quasi crystals. As you know, there's a article with Eric Quinones on quasi crystals from a couple years ago. Princeton University did a study on quasi-crystals, and they found that, this is the new method for, this is one I used to share a lot, because it's old and it's kind of, it's very key and important. This was, okay, and it's taken down now, and they don't have the pictures of it anymore on the article, which is whack. They built a quasi-crystal out of 1 centimeter rods, these little rods, and then they shined microwaves at it. That was the microwaves were 1 centimeter wavelength microwaves, and they showed that the microwave signal would hit the quasi-crystal and be reflected at 90-degree angles without losing any signal quality. And they had a whole thing about using quasi-crystals in in photonics at the 90-degree angle point to reflect signals and signal processing in photonic circuits and stuff, because it's like a metamaterial, but it's like a metamaterial works in different ways for 1D or 2D or 3D light, trapping and conducting, I guess you call it. Let's see, 1D, 2D, and 3D meta materials. But the way a quasi crystal works is it is like the mirror that reflects it at 90 degrees perfectly, and so you got to bounce. It's like your hook. So you get the metamaterials to keep things going straight or in other directions, and then when you want to turn them and abruptly, you use a quasi crystal at that junction, and so there's a lot to photonic chip manufacturing that I've learned through studying this kind of stuff, which, I was talking about metamaterials and quasi-crystals and photonic circuits and this kind of stuff over a decade ago, way before TTSA came on the scene and really popularized that word and brought it out to a bigger audience, and also, I guess, lost a lot of the technology in the context of what it means and what metamaterials are and some of the science behind them, which they never really got into and explained and went deep on, which is a shame. And I want to, I have some experts in these technologies that I'm going to line up and get interviews with. And also I want to start, building and experimenting with these types of things. This is super cool. I want to start also making 3D printable parts so that you can build these things and kind of experiment with your own builds. through for different types of structures. It would be great to get, a 3D printer to be able to print some of these types of things, and then you can get conductive ink or something to make the loops. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that people are doing and could be doing with metamaterials. Yeah, this is the graphic I was talking about. So 1D, 2D, and 3D metamaterials. Sort of how to illustrate that. But anyways, oh, Anthony, you don't have a wrench, huh? Well, I will fix that for you, buddy. Old pal. All right, Anthony. Thermobaric, not barometric bomb. Yeah, so the thermobaric. Let me, I'm going to make moderator. And you're going to be a moderator too. Sweet. Yeah, I'll open this up too if people want to jump in, because I'm pretty much at the end of everything that I wanted to get into and discuss. I think just the let me get on here and change that around. Window. Yeah, there we go. Well, yeah, as far as the getting into all the other stuff, I don't want to get into it on this stream, because I'll definitely bring the shadow bands hard if I start talking about that subject. But yeah, if you want to dive deeper into where I learned a lot of the stuff that I was talking about at the end of the debate, you can check out this book by Kevin Robert Ryan. And I mentioned also in the foreword of this book, some of the research that I did as well is included in here. So this is where you can find that out, and it's hopefully, if you're interested in that, want some info. So Malcolm Bendall this is on Randall Carlson's website. This is called the Malcolm Bendall Lectures, and because I was like complaining that that thing, the live stream that he did at Tesla Tech was behind a paywall, and that I didn't, know how to access. I wasn't able to access it when it happened, and also other things. But this is a great overview for people that want to dive into Bendall's stuff and sort of hash it out. And there's already a number of skeptics on here tearing this guy apart. Yeah, it's interesting. So Bendall apparently, Randall Carlson went on Joe Rogan and got on Joe Rogan, and that one you can go back and watch. It's super interesting. But apparently, the guy he's talking about in there is Malcolm Bendall on the Joe Rogan podcast, and then he apparently introduced Joe Rogan, got Malcolm Bendall to go out there and do the Joe Rogan podcast. Bendall does the Joe Rogan podcast, but then Rogan never releases it and still hasn't released it. And is it because it's bull crap? Was Rogan like, hey, I'm going to send this to, some of my scientist friends, and, they told me it's bull crap, so we're not going to release it. Is that what happened? I'd love to hear it from Rogan and all this, what is going on with all that. Yeah, so I started watching a couple of these, and not super, convinced or, mind blown so far. There's very little math explanation anywhere in any of it. And, keeps claiming, a lot of really big claims, the holy grail of science now manifest, the model of the elements, and again, this is the model thing that he's got. He goes over this whole, all right, so let me share this and open this up, because I want to get some other people's opinions on the whole Bendall affair. And why is my thing not loading on this? Anyways, people can go on here and check that out. I don't want to I don't know if it's slowing down my thing. Is my stream still going? You guys still hear me? Okay. Everything. Did I jam up the damn computer? Nitinol type metamaterials. That's interesting. Never heard of nitinol type metamaterials. That's like shape retention alloys. Okay, so everybody is here. It did come through. All right, 5x5. I have the link up here for people that want to join the StreamYard. And Judith Baker. Where have I heard that name before? Is this more back to the JFK stuff? I'm pretty sure that sounds like a JFK name. Yeah, it was. Yeah, the Judith Baker thing. Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, she's the one that talked about LBJ, right? This is yeah. And people call her a liar. Okay, she worked on a cancer research project and her research at the Roswell Park Memorial Institute at the University of Florida. And she had 5 children with Robert Baker, anthropologist, University of Houston, Central Florida, blah, blah. Later, she established the Lee Harvey Oswald Museum in Harlem. Dr. Mary Sherman, yeah. Oxner and Mary Sherman to get Fidel Castro project that had the backing of the CIA, of the mafia, and of the mafia in New Orleans. Yeah. So this is yeah, very interesting stuff. Yeah, so Mary Sherman, sorry. Judith Very Baker. And then Sherman, is this the one that invented the cancer? She did all the cancer research for the CIA, like figured out that beryllium dust would, almost instantly cause cancer. And that's what they were like, blowing beryllium dust all over JFK witnesses they wanted to get rid of and stuff. Weird, all kinds of weird stuff. The whole suspicious deaths of the JFK witnesses. So another thing Sherman mentioned that well, going back to JFK real quick while we're there, is the witnesses of the grassy knoll witnesses versus Texas school book depository building. And it turns out that when the CIA and people are threatening you and saying, well, you sure you didn't just hear echoes? You sure that this is what you saw? And then other witnesses who saw like things that were close to the grassy knoll start, getting in car accidents and winding up dead. By the time you get to the Warren Commission, yeah, you're going to have a lot of witnesses that, change their testimony, especially when they were being threatened and manipulated and even, hypnotized in some cases into, changing their testimonies, of what they saw. This is how they worked the witnesses and how they worked the crowd. And it's quite interesting when you think of it from that perspective. Yeah, I'm going to change my testimony if everyone's dropping dead and they're saying, offering me these things, if to change my testimony, you're going to have things like that. So yeah, the case is definitely not closed. Gerald Posner. I guess I could read that book. I just I'm more interested in really learning the deep details of like the people involved and background research that's done into those individuals. At this point, I'm kind of done with the basics and the the same old tired out arguments at this point. Yeah, so interesting. Skeptics versus believers. There was another part in this that I wanted to play that was a little bit better. Yeah, alien DNA, the panspermia hypothesis. This is interesting because we talk about carbonado diamonds and the idea that they might have been panspermia. They're in the same time period as a massive evolutionary, explosion in the Cambrian explosion. They're traced to around that time period with the carbonados, and they're out of the geological record, so they're not like natural. They came from somewhere, and it's sort of interesting. So, and he talks about NASA investigating UFOs, and was the other organization, and they did some good audience questions and stuff. Yeah, so I love that, some of the science that we're getting more scientists interested in studying these things and taking them seriously. I like to use the quote, I found this quote on Twitter like a week or so ago, and I absolutely love it. Is no amount of candle research is going to invent the light bulb. And that's the way we need to think about UFOs. And yeah, we need to take them more seriously. And all right. So yeah. Oh, the shooter saw that. Yeah. So the idea that there was another shooter inside the sewer, the storm drain, and all that. Yeah, Dr. Mary's monkeys. That's about the cancer research and stuff. They're killing all these people with the cancer, the rapid cancer. The sure shot theory, it's kind of low down, and it's kind of like low. I think I like the grassy knoll theory with the badge with the police officer on the grassy knoll. It seems like there's a lot of cross corresponding, evidence for that one as opposed to the storm drain, sewer shot theory. I put the sewer shot theory in the same kind of category as the limo driver shot Kennedy. With the artifact that's on the top of his head that looks like the gun for that one frame. Yeah, I definitely believe there was a crossfire of some kind, it was for sure. Airships need to be refilled helium every few days. Apparently graphene oxide film is impermeable to helium. Maybe you guys could get rich by making a new blimp material using graphene. Fascinating. Yeah, right. It would be there'd have to be no holes. That's the problem with that kind of a material is you got gaps in that lattice structure, then in your graphene, then you're going to have holes in the whole thing. But yeah, that's a brilliant idea. I mean, you could probably spray adhesive to the inside of the blimp thing and then coat it with graphene. Yeah, I don't know. I have to talk to Michael about that one. Yeah, do we have any audience questions? I'd love to open this up now for audience, feedback. Everyone can see that link, right? I posted the StreamYard link. So if anyone wants to join and ask any questions, get into any of these finer details of these arguments and these stories, let's do it. Rifle in the Smithsonian is not the JFK murder weapon. What? All right, I'm going to play this. Hold on a second. I want to see the latest. This was just posted by...
The gun that's in the Smithsonian is not the gun. It's a different weapon. And that's been proven fairly emphatically on Wikipedia and other sources. The weapon that's in the Smithsonian is not the supposed murder weapon. It's a different model of a Carcano, different length of the barrel. It's got the side swivels on it. So that's kind of interesting. the gun, I'll tell you this much, the gun that's in the Smithsonian is not the gun. It's
Yeah, so yeah, definitely check out America's Untold Stories. These guys are doing super good research. Another person I've learned a lot of good information from on JFK recently has been Dark Journalist, and he's been going into a lot of the UFO file stuff and connecting things to the UFO file, which is interesting. And some of the stuff I have a lot of questions for Daniel. Of Dark Journalists as well, and they get asked. So I'm regular on his live streams, and I'll post the questions on there, and they very often do get asked. So he is pretty good about that. So, but as far as this whole obsession with the mystery schools and trans-temporal, I want to see evidence for a lot of these things, and where's the real science, and where's the meat and potatoes and some of that. And sometimes he alleges connections and things that the whole thing with James Clapper being at the hearings threw a lot of people off. And but Dark Journalist, for the most part, he's pretty damn good. I would love to see him do some debates, and I'd love to see him get on some other podcasts. It was great to see him on Alex Jones recently, and Alex Jones was one of the first people to interview Ted Gunderson back in the day. Ted Gunderson, man, it's just a shame what happened with Ted. But he was a true American hero who brought a lot of information out. All right, we got Exotic Propulsion. We got Anthony Williams. Anthony, your sound's normal today, right? No craziness, right?
You mean it doesn't sound like he's talking to a fish tank bubbler? Well, there's only one way to find out.
Again?
No, you're good actually this time. Hey, it works. It works. So I literally just missed like the last 25 minutes, but I heard the word metamaterials as I was cutting stuff on the table saw, and I'm making this invisible wall machine, right? So I had to step in when I heard metamaterial. Now you're talking my language.
So, question. All right. So, AS, has YouTube ever taken one of your videos down? Yes, they have. They took my video. I used too much of Corbell's film and the parody I made of it, making fun of the Bob Lazar movie. So they took that one down. I also did an interview. It was one of Richard Gage's first interviews on his channel. I don't know if it's still on here or if it's back on here, but I did an interview on Richard Gage's channel, and that got taken down, man. They flagged that, and it had I had a lot more information than I went into on. I don't know if it's still up, man. Yeah, there it is. This one got taken down before, but it's up now. Only 54 views, but this one had gotten his whole when he posted this. When he first posted it up, man, he got the whole channel taken down. Like he had to fight to get the channel back. It was that was kind of interesting. But yeah, that was the only time that's ever happened to me. But anyways, enough on the conspiracy crap and all that stuff. It's fun to go down the rabbit hole and investigate all that stuff, and also to educate the skeptics on what they think they know about those topics as well. But let's move to something productive that's actually going to get us out of this mess, because it's obvious that they did those things to make money for military industrial, and also it's part of the Cold War. It's part of this race against our enemies on overseas, the Russians and the Chinese that we're trying to develop the technology ahead of. So yeah, we have to be wary that of some of these things too as we move forward, that we're not, what do we disclose? Should I completely let the cat out of the bag so that the Russians and North Koreans and everyone has access to free energy and anti-gravity technology? I mean,
well, I'll tell you, if you wanted to balance the playing field and doing the same, if you're the only guy with an airplane and everybody else just has ground tanks and jeeps, okay, you're obviously the dominant person, right? So if we didn't want the military industrial complex to be the superpower that can literally just do whatever the heck you want, then maybe we should get that same kind of technology, not the weapon stuff, not at all, but just the transportation stuff, the advanced detection, the better computing, the better networks, infrastructure. We get that into the hands of the everyday people, and all of a sudden the power balance is shifted. And that's a terrifying thing to say, because just by saying it, I'm already getting myself, probably on a list. But the truth is that the people need this technology, and it's all about enhancing our lives. We shouldn't have to wait 80 years for something to finally trickle down the line before we get a tiny little underwhelming version of it. And I think we're all kind of sick of sitting around waiting for politicians to fix the world, when realistically most of the major problems that we have, involving everything from world hunger to health and fixing diseases to societal unrest, can be pretty much fixed through technology.
Yeah, I have Rober the Conqueror up. It's an old book by Jules Verne, back when airships were first starting to come out, and it was about the future where one guy had the air dominance and he just conquered the world.
Oh, well, there's actually a story on that. I love the fact that you know about that, and I had never heard of it. That's fantastic. I've got to read it now.
Yeah, definitely. It's a classic. So go love the classics. It's a good one to read to your kids too. Maybe go back. Anyways, Limitless Space Institute here, they did some kick-ass work, man. All the stuff that they had on metamaterials at that recent
good titles too
playlist. So yeah, this was some good stuff, man. They was this the Limitless Space Institute? There was the other one I shared. Here it is. Hold up, where is it? I have it open somewhere. No, come on, it's right here somewhere. I had it. No, I thought I had it open right here. Anyways, I have to find that now, because they had the whole playlist. There was another playlist that I shared before. Yeah, I don't know where that is, but I had a big playlist with all these all those. I think it was from these guys, right? It was the Limitless Space Institute.
How am I not subscribed to that channel already? Just looking at the clip art and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, this is a good one. Then also, no, there was another channel though with like a whole bunch of other, the public briefings. So this was, I think this was it. No, 2 years ago, man. This was recent. There was another recent one that was just posted with all of them on there.
You can sort those by date. On the right side there, you've got an option. So
yeah, no, I can. I'll go find them in my history of everything. I had that. I have to go find that because it was a whole bunch of these that I wanted to go back and check out. It's all music. I listen to a lot of music on YouTube, so it's just like I gotta go back through like piles and piles of videos.
I hear that. I listen to music while I'm working on all this stuff just the same.
Yeah.
We are literally days away from testing a real world force field technology.
Oh yeah, I wanted to share this too.
Can't wait to see that.
This was cool. So this was Todd. I think Todd posted this. I reposted it, but this is Hal Puthoff, Bernard Hayes. This was recorded in like 2005, I think. So it's got, Bernard Hayes. He's the head physicist for Lockheed Martin, worked on all this propulsion stuff. And then they were going to come out with this film. It's got Todd Desiato in it, Riccardo Storti, all these guys. And the film was going to come out in like 2005, but apparently Bernard Hayes never signed off to agree on releasing it, the footage of him, so they couldn't release the film because he didn't sign the release.
Which is tragic because this was actually an incredibly good set of interviews.
It was, and this was like amazing. This is called Quinta Essentia. It's by a guy of all names, Joffrey Deemer.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's Joffrey Deemer. It's like very close to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Hey, if anybody has a good mechanism for producing graphene, not graphene, but the hydrogen-bound graphene, which is just basically graphene with hydrogen stuck to it. So Brian Kelly has a bunch of videos where he goes through how graphene could be used as a light compressing metamaterial to squeeze down several thousand times the photonic wavelength and condense it through this flux. So if anybody has good ideas about how to make graphene, I'm all ears.
I haven't even heard of that.
All right, I gotta find Michael. I'm Brian Kelly's channel. I don't know if I have it up on here.
Hey, for JFK, I have a question. I was wondering who pulled the Secret Service agents and who edited the Zapruder film. Both had to be somebody with a lot of power.
All right, so first question, Jack Crichton. All right, so you didn't know about this too. Oh yeah, so this is good because I didn't get into this either. All right, so Jack Crichton, Jack Alston Crichton, he was actually in charge of so they had let me find this. So Peter Dale Scott wrote this article, and it was about the there was an emergency command center for a continuity of government program in place underneath the Dallas Capitol building. JFK continuity of government program. Now, this is the thing that ties 9/11 to JFK really very deeply. This is an article by Peter Dale Scott called "The Hidden Government Group," and it links JFK to Watergate, to Iran-Contra, and 9/11. And this Doomsday Project was in place. It was run by Jack Crichton, so they had like the whole backup government ready to go in case the Russians got a hold of the plot and took out Johnson, and as well. They had to have the whole backup plot ready to go if they were to go through with this whole thing. And apparently they had a whole setup with Jack Crichton and thing set up with the COG office in the basement of the the Texas Capitol building, which is it's crazy to think about. It was right in Dallas. Yeah, right in Dallas. And the Mayor Cabell had helped like coordinate it and set it up too. And of course, it's very weird because they have these things that end up being set up. And this is like where they could have coordinated a lot of stuff from. But what's interesting is they had this similar kind of thing in Building 7. It was on the 37th floor, the emergency command center that they had in Building 7. Mm-hmm. So very interesting connections there that are not widely explored by the skeptics community, and the sort of see how quickly Shermer wanted to shrug Building 7 off and move along, nothing to see here kind of deal. And that's not how investigations should be conducted, especially when there's allegations of a conspiracy afoot. Anyways, yeah, what was the other question too? So that was the first part about the motorcade route and the backup plans and the
who edited the Zapruder film? Because it's clear
who edited the Zapruder film. So the Zapruder film was taken by, I think, Time Life. Right? It was the whole chain of custody of the Zapruder film, right? Let's see, the chain of custody.
Right when it comes to about where the sign passes in front of the camera, right before the shooting, you can see it skipped at least about 2 seconds.
It was faked. Yeah, it was edited. There was things done on it. I've heard this idea before, and yeah, it's this is the enhanced edit clear copy. Let's just let's go ahead and watch it. I'm gonna slow it down though.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Here's that final headshot.
Oh,
and then the momentum transfer of that shot, and his head goes back into the left, right? So that's and you can see that's the back of his head that's blown out, or the side or the back of his head that's blown out, right? There's a piece of his skull and his brain that just falls off the arm. You can see like the whole skull came off, the whole piece. So that's yeah, it's a rough video. I should have warned our viewers that if they're a little squeamish not to continue watching. But yeah, smash that like button, and yeah, it does look also.
Can you go back for a second?
It's a little less squeamish in 240p, let's be honest.
Right where you had it stopped a minute ago, I swear the background looks too big for the picture.
Yeah, this doesn't have the whole frame. So this doesn't have the whole frame in here. This one's got the whole frame in here. You can see the whole thing. That one zoomed in too much. So this one's a much better edit.
It's just like just a fraction after he gets shot is when the people in the background look too big. Yeah, right about right in here, where that orange dress, that looks too big.
Yeah, it's like they moved the background around or did something with it, but
could just be somebody really tall.
But also, you have to look at the limo driver, right? So see the gun, and people always post to that. And they say, "Oh, it's a limo driver that shot it." See, it looks like it looks like he holds up a gun, but it's like actually a reflection off the top of his head. But for a second here, it looks. I'm gonna slow it down even slower. But just watch the limo driver in the front, right here.
That woman's behind JFK in the car.
This is Secret Service Agent William Greer driving.
Dang, Batfly. Batfly, now that is a super chat right there. Holy cow.
What's that?
Crazy. Oh,
you just got a big super chat, dude.
Holy crap. Oh, Batfly. You don't even have a something for me to read, man. You got to type out a super chat comment so I can read it when you super chat. That's the big point. Yeah. William Greer was the Secret Service agent's name who was driving the limo. Batfly, thank you. 133.70. Is there like some kind of significance to that figure? That I'm not getting here. Is that like, it's just an interesting number.
Maybe another language.
It certainly is interestingly generous.
The message was in the amount. Okay.
Ooh.
I didn't see
the
what
plot thickens.
All right, so 133.70. Oh, I don't get it, man.
Not another Illuminati confirmed, I hope.
What is the message? I'm trying to understand, man. That's elite. I don't get it. Anyways, yeah, look at this. So this is the driver. It looks like he holds a gun over his shoulder.
Oh, that's funny, man. LEET 1337.
But it's a reflection off of the passenger's head. So the top of his head gets a reflection before they go into the shade of the triple underpass. But man, that's crazy. You can see the whole like side of his head and the back. Wow, that's just blood coming out everywhere.
His brain went missing. He was first in a nice fancy casket, but by the time he got to Washington, he was in like a low cost casket. All kinds of strange things.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you have J.D. Tippit murder, right? And the J.D. Tippit murder is all right. So let's get into some of this because this is fascinating because I can actually show the places on the map. I have them all mapped out, and we can actually go to all these spots and go boots on the ground, kind of walk around and look at them from where all this stuff happened, supposedly, and kind of get a better sense of it. And now I don't know where that went to, but I had it open. Well, I guess I'll just open it again. Let's go to Google Maps. I have all these things saved in a saved JFK event locations. Let's find this. So we get first off the Texas School Book Depository building, which is right here in Dealey Plaza. And you look at here, it's interesting because the motorcade route came down Main Street, took the right onto Houston before taking the left onto Elm. So Oswald, supposedly in the 6th-story window of this corner of the building right here, waits for Kennedy to get closer to the grassy knoll before he brings the fire. So it's just kind of interesting that this was the point where the motorcade slowed down the most, and that would have been the best spot when they're first taking that turn onto Elm. That would have been the best spot to open fire, the clearest, closest shot of anywhere. But doesn't do that. He waits until the car gets closer to down here where this is the grassy knoll area right here. Okay, so this is the grassy knoll right before the triple underpass. And then this is the parking lot area with the white picket fence. And there was apparently, agents in this area keeping people out, Lee Bowers and several others who tried to go, Gordon Arnold tried to go and film back there, and they wouldn't let him back there. There was people not letting people back there. And then there was a man dressed as a Dallas police officer with a rifle right here. And this is, you can see in the ground where the X's are is where the shots were. So here's the second shot. Approximate location of the second shot. First shot's down here. You notice there's 2 X's because there's multiple shots. There's the magic bullet, and then the final headshot right here that kills him. Of course, if
it was from the book depository, he would have been shot in the back of the head, not the front.
Right. So that's 110 feet. Okay, from the grassy knoll. It's a 110-foot shot from the grassy knoll. From the school book depository building, it is 270 feet. 270 feet, and that's not counting the triangulation because it's actually a little bit longer because you're not counting the height of this triangle to the 6th floor. Yeah, so that's some interesting forensic work just to give people an outline, an understanding of the crime scene and sort of what happened here. That Oswald, should have opened fire in a different position. It just seems like to me. Now, of course, the train yard, they found these bums that were in a train over here somewhere trying to leave the area. And they brought them and walked them right out in front of the school book depository building and down the street to where they were booked. The Carousel Club is right over here. If people want to know where Jack Ruby's nightclub was, it was just right over here somewhere on Elm Street. I think Elm Street, or was it Commerce Street? No, it's Commerce Street that it was on. And this is the Dallas County Courthouse. This is where I think he was shot, leading back, from the courthouse in and out of there.
Man, you really did your homework on this.
So then the other thing is, all right. So here's Oswald's house right here. Okay. Here's where Oswald's boarding house was. This is his rooming house. There's a boarding house. There's a museum there right on North Beckley in Dallas. And you can go check it out. I don't know I think it's like Oswald Rooming House Museum. So yeah, it's there. There's the phone number. You can call it. You can go visit. This is where Oswald rented the room from Ruth Paine, and this is where he lived. And the neighbors don't want you looking at their house. So it's blurred out apparently. But yeah, this is right where this was Oswald's neighborhood back in the day in downtown Dallas, and this is right up the street from where he allegedly shot J.D. Tippit. Okay, so there's Oswald's house, and there's J.D. Tippit's. J.D. Tippit was shot on the corner of East 10th and North Patton Street, right here. On if people want to go look it up, it's right there. And apparently he fled. I have the maps of all that stuff somewhere around here.
Was Tippit the police officer?
Tippit was the police officer that looked like JFK, that they allegedly needed him as the body double. And apparently Tippit was also, a frequent at the Carousel Club, and knew Jack Ruby, and knew some information about, Jack Ruby's connections to Oswald and other things. So he had to be eliminated, apparently, according to the conspiracy theory. That's what happened with Tippit. Now, apparently he shoots Tippit on his way back to the rooming house. Right. So how do the events go? So he apparently he's fleeing the school book depository building, takes a different bus than the usual one he goes home on, and that one drops him off down here near the zoo or something, right? So then he gets off there and he's walking back to his apartment through a weird neighborhood through this way, and then shoots Tippit on the way there. Or did he go back to his room first? I gotta go look this up and get the whole course of events, make sure I have this clear and really do my research. But here's the Texas Theater where he ends up later on. So did he, go this weird way to the Texas Theater? How did he end up over here?
How did he even get out of the building in the first place? Everybody would have rushed, would have been around there.
Yeah, it's weird that he got out of the building and was able to get that far and then shoot J.D. Tippit. But then there's the other theory that J.D. Tippit was not shot by Oswald, that he was shot as part of the cover-up, and that he was in fact killed by two of the other Dallas police officers who were covering up parts of the assassination. So there's a theory that Captain Westerbrook and Sergeant Kenneth Croy were both involved in the Tippit murder as their whereabouts.
I remember some witnesses saying that they saw him on the ground floor like a minute before the shooting too.
Yeah, in the Coke in the room, the lunchroom, drinking a Coke.
That's what it was.
Right. Which is kind of weird that he wouldn't be out there watching the parade, with everybody else. Why would he be inside and whatnot? It's just it's all very, very strange. But yeah, I'm gonna dig into the whole timeline, get a whole timeline thing going, because I thought that was really interesting in trying to prove this argument on whether he had time to get to the J.D. Tippit murder scene and whether he did that or not, and the whole arguments there, because that's a whole another rabbit hole to go down. But yeah, it's interesting. Kind of, if I ever get to go to Dallas, these are the places you can go and do the tour and check out those places. And if anyone's down there local to Dallas, they can go do it. That would be awesome too. I don't know if there's any. I don't see too many videos up with that stuff.
Somebody else.
But yeah, he was a lookalike, man. J.D. Tippit. So let's look up J.D. Tippit. You see, he people used to tease him on the police force and say that they used to call him JFK because I mean he looks kind of like JFK. He really could almost pass for the body double. And that's the whole idea, is that there were two caskets. There was a surgeon who was aboard the flights actually out of the place, doing surgery on the bodies, before, because Tippit was apparently shot in just the way that, JFK was shot, so like they switched the bodies to like hide the wounds. And then, so that when they went and killed Tippit, they probably shot him the other way for real. And that way his head wounds would match what the official story said about what happened to Kennedy. It's just a crazy to think that they went through this much to cover this up, but apparently
did Oswald really kill Tippit outside of the house? That's the question. Did he?
There's a couple witnesses whose testimony differs,
Yeah.
And,
that is the weirdest part of the story, isn't it? I mean, one of the weirdest parts is this cop being killed that looks like Kennedy. It's such a God, it's so strange, man. It's like out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, he looks like there's the.
I think a lot of it was the height and weight and everything, and the facial, like the jaw structure and all that stuff, is what they always used to say.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, that and when they got back at the, I think it was the police captain, but they showed the gun and it was different than the one that Oswald used.
The big guy, Tippit.
That's what I think. Captain Captain Westbrook. They think that he actually shot Tippit,
and it wasn't Lee Oswald.
Right. Apparently,
remember Lee Oswald supposedly came into contact with him for like 5 seconds and killed him.
Right. Well, apparently it's like J.D. Tippit was like had an affair with Westbrook's wife or something like crazy. I happened reading about that. J.D. Tippit had an affair with somebody, and
it's really
there's something else going on behind the scenes of why this guy hated Tippit and would have signed himself up for this. There's more to the story than all that.
The coroner had never even done an autopsy either. Why would you pick somebody that was inexperienced? Doesn't make any sense.
Oh, well, they sent the thing to they did the autopsy in Bethesda, where Bethesda was notorious for all this deep state, cover-ups and hospitalization of James Forrestal and all kinds of craziness, So
it's just a weird story. It really is. The whole thing's weird.
That video and book that Jim Mars made is good too. There's a Crossfire by Jim Mars. That's what the JFK Oliver Stone movie was based on.
Yeah. Well, I do have a PayPal. I will set it up and give people that, but PayPal takes a percentage too, man. So it's, I don't know. It's like,
yeah, but it's not 30%. I mean, it's a heck of a lot less. So
what's Patreon? Who's done like the whole calculation? 'Cause what's the best
Patreon takes like 20 to 30%. PayPal takes 1% to 0.5%. So I highly recommend PayPal over anything else.
Okay.
And you got YouTube that takes 30% for you. As a Canadian, YouTube takes 30%, and then the American government takes another 30%. So for anyone that donates to me on YouTube, I only get 40%. It's
you're dead serious, really?
Dead serious. It's insane.
Dude, that is beyond levels of screwed up. And I thought YouTube.ca was supposed to take care of that problem. But apparently you still have to pay the penance for our country, eh?
Yeah.
Very good. Wow. That's criminal.
Jeremy,
So,
what
I
got you talking
recommend
about this?
PayPal for anyone donating to anybody over these over the internet in general.
Hell, if anything, it should be like maybe a fraction of a percent, not 40%. Damn.
I thought, Jeremy, maybe you're into the UFOs and Kennedy connection type thing, or.
Well, I didn't get fully into that. We were talking a little bit about some of those. I did, there are some of those connections because Guy Bannister, right? So Oswald's in New Orleans passing out these pamphlets, right? And the pamphlets that he passes out for this Fair Play for Cuba committee or whatever he's got, they have the address on the back, and the address on the back is Guy Bannister's office. So when you connect Oswald to Guy Bannister, Guy Bannister he started the FBI's X-Files. So the whole X-Files was Guy Bannister's file cabinet of all the weird FBI cases. So this is as close to the Men in Black as you almost could possibly get. And when you put Oswald in that group with Guy Bannister and some of these other guys, you start painting a different picture. The aerospace, Civil Air Patrol. You have David Harold Byrd starting that company, making a bunch of money off aerospace technologies and all that stuff afterwards. Then you have the allegation that one of the tramps might have been Fred Chrisman, who's again connected with Guy Bannister and Guy Bannister's office. And Fred Chrisman is this FBI, kind of cross-government, CIA, FBI cross-government agent that shows up at a lot of UFO investigations as this Men in Black supposedly doing government investigations of UFO cases. It kind of links in Oswald to some of this UFO stuff and X technology groups a little bit, as Dark Journalists has got into a little bit. I haven't seen like the solid smoking gun connections into all this, where it's like, boom, haha, like there's a lot of interesting people who are involved around this, and it kind of ties, the whole JFK assassination at its heart to this Roswell and other cover up, of the X technology. Which is, of course, that's what E. Howard Hunt told his lawyer. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So E. Howard Hunt has this conversation.
Didn't he tell his son or something? Deathbed.
Well, he told his son on the deathbed. So he has the whole recorded deathbed confession that his son recorded with him. And that's a very interesting deathbed confession when you get into that, because he names Cord Meyer Jr. I guess Kennedy had an affair with Cord Meyer's wife, and so Cord Meyer hated Kennedy, and he blames Cord Meyer for the whole assassination conspiracy on his deathbed.
Hey, I've got a really weird question out there for your audience. Has anybody ever seen an associated story about psychic spies, aka remote viewers, looking into this whole entire situation? I'd be curious what that opinion is.
Yeah, wow. I don't know. I know I've read Sci-Spies by Jim Marrs, and Jim Marrs's book Crossfire was one of the first books that got me into the JFK assassination. So yeah, Jim Marrs is he's done some good research on a lot of this stuff, laid a lot of the footwork for a lot of these investigations. Yeah, Sci-Spies was a great book about the remote viewing program.
I think that's what launched Jim Marrs's career, the whole JFK thing. He was a newspaper reporter in Dallas, right?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, he was young when that happened.
Yeah, he started investigating it, and then like got into the deep state, and that's what let him start. He's like, all right, well, I guess I have to keep researching this stuff because
he heavily got into UFOs, you know.
Yep. Yeah. No, he was. And then the whole thing with Uri Geller, I got to ask, I got Jack Sarfatti was on here talking about the Uri Geller thing and that whole saga. So this is all, it's kind of connected, but it's not like all the same thing. These are different things going on in different time periods and stuff too. So, then it's the 1970s versus the early 1960s. A lot of things kind of happened in that decade between. But yeah, the whole conspiracy assassination is quite interesting. So what was I just talking about with Cordmeyer Jr. and E. Howard Hunt, Fred Chrisman, of course, then Marilyn Monroe and tying Marilyn Monroe and Dorothy Kilgallen into the situation, these were two women that had some really interesting connections and apparently knew a lot of stuff. And
they claim that could have been the reason, the Marilyn Monroe connection.
The Marilyn Monroe connection, yeah, is interesting. But apparently, Kilgallen was on this very popular TV show called Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I guess that used to be Jack Ruby's favorite TV show. He used to have it on at the Carousel Club all the time. So when Kilgallen, approached him to interview him, he warmed up to Kilgallen because he loved the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? And apparently gave Kilgallen the full access and started telling her all kinds of stuff. Gave her information that he never told anyone else. And then shortly after there, she winds up dead.
Wow.
Assassinated. And also Jack Ruby winds up dead. So very, very curious. They like plugged those leaks before they could fully happen as they were, happening. And she was, starting to really dig into and learn, deep, dark details about the deep state and the Kennedy assassination, yeah, very interesting stuff when you start, digging into those two. Yeah, because there's rumors that, JFK told Marilyn about the UFO file.
Wasn't Jack Ruby killed like within a week of JFK?
No, Oswald was. So Oswald, within like 3 days, Ruby guns down Oswald, and kills so you get the murder suspect. He can never stand trial and never be convicted of the crime because Jack Ruby kills him, and Jack Ruby's tied to he's this wannabe mobster.
The Jack Ruby video looks weird too. If you watch the car headlights, it's like it was timed to them. Maybe that's a coincidence. I don't know. But
what car headlights? What are you talking about?
When you see him going up to the courthouse, they park the car, they start moving around. But when the headlights go off, it's all of a sudden when the action starts moving. It's the video from the outside of the courthouse.
Huh? I've never
Aren't
seen
they
that.
in the basement of the courthouse and the car pulls up to take him away? And that's
right.
Okay.
It's right
What
after the
happens
car
again?
pulls up, and then as soon as the headlights go out, that's when everything happens. It's like somebody said to look for the headlights or something. But like I said, maybe that's just a coincidence. But the whole the video just doesn't look right to me. It looks like a set.
I'll have to watch that one again. You have a copy of the video you can post? I can check it out.
Oh man, I haven't watched that in years.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff gets hard to find too, man. So be careful. So Jack Ruby kills himself. No, I don't know how he dies in prison.
No, I think he dies of cancer in jail. That made me get sick because Jack Ruby's older, you know. He's like in his 50s, wasn't he, when this happened?
Pulmonary embolism.
Okay, that would be a stroke, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so he had a stroke.
Something like that.
It's a lung blockage.
Yeah, he died. Let's put it this way: it's like natural causes. He didn't. I don't. You know, he didn't hang himself or anything. But
no, huh? But it was really interestingly soon after this whole thing, you know. So this was before the House Select Committee assassinations.
I mean, what could have made him go do that? What could have made him go kill? What could have made him go kill Oswald? Is what. Because he didn't love Kennedy, and he wasn't actually in the mob, or did he do it for some strange reason, like just for the purpose of having the fame to have killed Kennedy? Because there are some people that thought that he would have actually gotten off, like being a hero. There were people that claimed that he thought that he would have hero status and wouldn't go to jail for killing the guy that killed JFK. You know, I mean, that's some of the
they might have told him that. They might have told him, you know, with his mob connect, because he was like a mob underboss. Like, he wasn't very high up. He owned a bunch of nightclubs that weren't doing well. Is about to get shut down. Owed a ton of people money. Had gambling debts and all kinds of other problems going on in his life. They probably told him, "Listen, you do this for us, we'll take care of you."
Yeah,
you know, or something.
So you think the mob was connected in the whole thing, and
well, they were connected in with Alpha 66 and Operation 40. We know that, you know, CIA was working with mobsters. It later came out, like, you know, Sam Giancana, who RFK was going after. A lot of these mobsters, these guys hated Kennedy. The Kennedys.
Do you have any belief at all that Oswald did it?
Then Johnny Rosselli.
Anybody think Oswald was able to pull it off?
Yeah, Will Shermer thought that, you know, and was arguing in favor of that idea. And the
gun was not a real good gun. That's the only thing that I never understood. The gun was like a one that was ordered out of an old school magazine back then. And then when Jesse Ventura went to test fire the exact type of gun, the thing performed shitty, man. It was bad.
Well, it's weird because there's ones that are it's weird because it's a foreign rifle, so it's an Italian rifle, but it's based on a Turkish rifle, or something. So like it takes a slightly different type round.
Mm-hmm. I've seen one guy pull it off, no problem firing the shots off. And then you see like Ventura struggled, and Ventura's a SEAL, so it's not like he doesn't know how to fire a weapon off. But yeah, I've seen some weird stuff when it comes to that whole part of it.
Oswald didn't score very good either on his sniper training.
Yeah, well, he was still a sniper though.
Mixed things on that. So this,
but JFK was shot from the front, not the back of the head. If Oswald did it, he would have been shot in the back of the head.
Well, that's the whole thing too. Then you have that conspiracy that goes on at the naval hospital. You know that they forced the doctors down there to say how it happened, and that's a whole nother thing there. That's just crazy, man. If he was shot from the front, then the whole story's definitely bullcrap. You know, that's the whole thing.
Well, the thing is, they were left with all these bullet holes, and they had to explain them with 3 shots and 3 bullets.
And that's where you get that magic bullet thing, right?
They struggled to do that, man. And it was they had the magic bullet because they really didn't. It was not easy to explain the evidence at hand with the story that they were trying to sell to the American public.
Well, hey, Trump could have disclosed the paperwork, and he hid it for another 25 or 50 years or something like that. That explains what happened, or am I wrong? Didn't he?
He disclosed what he was allowed to, and then they made him classify the rest of it, right? But
yeah, something like that.
You know, he should have just declassified everything. Like he screwed himself.
Yeah, because
in so
everybody
many
that's
ways.
involved is like, if there's even somebody alive, they're so damn old. You know.
I'm betting it implicated the CIA because, like you said,
That's what
everybody's
I
too old.
wondered.
It has to be like an agency connection, and that's the reason it wasn't released, because it would have caused too much turmoil in between the government.
He told Roger Stone that he won't believe what's in the classified JFK.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure it was altered.
That makes me wonder if it is ETs.
Yeah, maybe it's something even bigger. I don't know. And maybe you gotta think like by this point they might have sanitized and replaced a lot of stuff too. You know?
Oh yeah.
Roger Stone's nuts. I mean, there's not much he won't believe.
What on earth ever happened to JFK's brain anyway? How does and how do you even leave? Start out in a nice casket and then you end up in Washington in like a pauper's casket.
Oh yeah, that whole story there on the airplane, so bizarre. Everything about this whole thing is so darn bizarre, man.
Yeah, plus president like that, there'd be a ton of Secret Service around and everything. There's no way somebody could do that unless they had high level connections.
Yeah, they had Secret Service. There's people in the Secret Service were involved. So about the Secret Service connections and everything, about I talked about Albert Borland, the first black Secret Service agent, and he tried to blow the whistle on the plot in Chicago, where they had a plot in Chicago. They were going to kill JFK there. And then they decided that Dallas was like the best spot because they had everyone, all the right people set up in Dallas, and
right. So it shows that they were already planning to do it somewhere else, and then that they chose to do it where they did it, and they did it.
When was the Chicago plot?
So Abraham Borland, is this the guy's name? No, what was it? Oh no, hold up. Let me find the guy's name now.
What are you looking for, Jer?
The Secret Service agent.
Oh, okay.
Bolden is his name.
It's a lot of Abrahams involved in this situation.
Abraham Bolden. Yeah, this was the Secret Service agent. They put him in prison and tried to say that he was crazy and all this stuff. They
never even heard of him.
Yeah, they put a whole bunch of
black man. He's the first African American. You said secret agent, or is this a different agent?
Exotic proposal.
Is seeking $50,000 for a secret file on the investigation. Oh, so they made up all this stuff about him, and he talks about it in an interview later. After he got out and had to go through all this crap, and he's like, they silenced him.
Thank God they released him though.
Is he still alive? Maybe somebody could get a hold of
the interview with this. Yeah. So the allegations of the Chicago plot to assassinate John F. Kennedy. All right. So you're not seeing this because fucking goddamn Mac suck. All right. This is great stuff, man. I had no idea this guy even existed, and I was like, what? This guy's like, this is like serious history, man, that they charged this guy with false charges. They
framed him, and that this guy's like the missing key to put the JFK assassination on the CIA, essentially.
Yeah. Well, no, on the Secret Service. So that to show that not only was the CIA involved in, Ruth Paine's sister, so Ruth Paine goes and meets her sister who works with the CIA in September of 1963, and then drives down through New Orleans and picks up Marina Oswald and brings the Oswalds back to Dallas with her right after that. It's all like clockwork with this. So the CIA is different than the Secret Service. You have the Secret Service that didn't like agents that didn't like Kennedy. A couple of them on top. You ever seen the Secret Service stand down protest?
They did what?
Let's look up JFK Secret Service stand down.
No, I never heard of that.
Yeah, all right. So that's where JFK was shot. They pulled the Secret Service agents off.
right before he was shot, man, they pull a Secret Service agent.
Seemed normal as the president's Secret Service bodyguards kept their ever watchful eyes on the crowd. Everything seemed normal as the president's motorcade began its journey. Everything seemed normal. That is, up until this instant. What took place is so odd that we're going to examine the scene 4 more times.
Yeah, you see him pulling his hands up.
Is this the same day?
Watch the left side of your screen.
Yeah,
the
this
arrow
is
points to agent in
a few
charge,
seconds before it
Roberts,
happens.
as he stands
Oh
in
my
a Secret
God.
Service follow-up car,
Why'd he run off?
motions with his hand. What?
Holy crap, man.
What he is doing is calling away the president's 2 most important bodyguards.
Sure is.
The bodyguards whose job was to protect the president's back by
1
riding
and
the
2.
bumper of the limousine throughout the motorcade.
Like what?
That was what? 15
Literally
minutes?
right
Sorry.
before. Okay, that's
So this is
not
the
a
follow-up
setup at
limousine.
all.
So the follow-up limousine has all the Secret Service agents in it, and the head Secret Service agent in charge stands up and pulls those guys off the back of the bumper, so that they should have been riding on the bumper. Their job was to ride on the back of that bumper and dive on the president to act like human shields to protect the president. And they were pulled off. As soon as they heard gunfire, they would have dove in on top of JFK and been, he would have never got that final headshot off.
Watch again as he stands and orders the agents running at the rear of the president's car away. Watch the confusion inside the follow-up car that results.
Conspirator.
Yeah, that is crazy, bro.
Yeah, that Secret Service agent who ordered those other 2 agents off the back of the bumper, he should have been arrested and investigated.
Is there any interviews with the Secret Service agents that say why they did that? What orders were given or anything like that? You would think there'd have to be, right? The Warren Commission or something. What were you guys doing? Just abandon the back of the.
Yeah, there's a bunch of talk about this too, about the agents that were supposed to be on there and what happened.
Wow, there you go. There's a Secret Service agent right there. The guy.
They break their silence right here.
Yeah, that guy there. Yeah.
They clearly thought it was a bunch of bull being pulled off. You can see the guy is like, he's like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, exactly. He's like, this isn't what we do. Obviously, they practice that all the time.
And like, what happened to those guys afterwards? Were they ever heard of or like talked to, interviewed about it? Like,
man,
yeah, I think they were quite a bit, but I want to listen to them because you go and you go and watch the guys who documented what all the Parkland doctors saw, and they all like showed that they all showed like that this part of his head was blown out, like it was a shot from the front entry hole here, and shot here, like all the doctors unanimously say that. I wonder what the Secret Service agents all say about this and stuff. If there's any, you get this guy and he's probably the most popular, so I wouldn't necessarily say that his is the most important, and you got to dig a little deeper than to find these other guys. I want to go get all that information together because I want to know exactly who those Secret Service agents were. There's names of them everywhere. It'd be good to get all the research done into that because the Secret Service element is definitely key to understanding the assassination plot and who was behind it, because the Secret Service would have had to have access to the Air Force One and to the caskets on the plane and all that stuff. So
Do we know about other video recordings then? Especially from the media. I would think the media would have the best lenses back then and the best view. I mean, yeah,
When shots rang out in Dallas.
Film backup, maybe, at least.
Oh, yeah, there's that other footage.
That's the Knicks film.
Yeah.
So let's go look at the Knicks film, actually. I want to see the Knicks
We
film.
need to synchronize them and triangulate the audio. I know somebody else has already did that, but I can't
There's
remember.
no audio. It's 8mm camera footage, man. There was no audio. It wasn't like cameras nowadays, man.
Somebody else did it from like you said, the video didn't have audio, but somebody else had a separate audio recording they synchronized to it.
You know what's really weird? Back then, the news could have been there and filmed it, but they weren't even there, right?
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the weird thing, isn't it?
They would have had the highest quality cameras.
Think about that, Jeremy. The news wasn't even there filming. You know, that is really weird. You know, I mean, you think about that. Back then, you had 3 channels: CBS, NBC, and ABC. You didn't have cable or nothing like that. This is '63.
Walter Cronkite said he saw the Zapruder film, and there was no editing, no jumps in the video like there is that we see now.
Oh yeah, well remember didn't Time Life or one of them buy it and they wouldn't give it up? They had it for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And they gave Zapruder $300,000 for it back then, which would be millions and millions.
Well, it's interesting because they didn't show it to the public right away. What they did is they showed it to Dan Rather, who was a young Fox.
Oh, okay.
He was a young reporter at the time, and his job was to tell the American public what was on the Zapruder film. Okay.
You're right.
Oh, that's right, Jeremy. Yes, I've told man, it's been a long time since I've looked.
Yeah,
into
let's
this.
listen to this because this is real interesting because this is what Dan Rather would rather you not know about the whole history about how he became a CIA
Daniel
Mockingbird.
Rather.
He was a
Forgot all
nobody.
about that.
He was a
He
nobody.
Yeah.
This made his career, man. They're like, listen, you cooperate with us and lie to the American public about what's really on the Zapruder film.
Take care of you forever.
We'll take care of you forever. Now,
But we also own
The films we saw were taken by an amateur photographer who had a particularly good vantage point just past the building from which the fatal shot was fired. The films show President Kennedy's open black limousine making a left turn off Houston Street onto Elm Street on the fringe of downtown Dallas. A left turn made just below the window in which the assassin was waiting. About 35 yards past the very base of the building, just below the window, President Kennedy could be seen to put his right hand up to the side of his head to either brush back his hair or perhaps rub his eyebrow. President Kennedy was sitting on the same side of the car as the building from which the shot came. Mrs. Kennedy was by his side in the jump seat in front of them. Mrs. Connolly and Governor Connolly. Governor Connolly on the same side of the car as the president, and in the front seat, 2 Secret Service men. Just as the president put that right hand up to the side of his head, you could see him lurch forward. The first shot had hit him. Mrs. Kennedy was looking in another direction and apparently didn't see or sense that first shot or didn't hear it. But Governor Connolly in the seat in front appeared to have heard it, or at least sensed that something was wrong. The governor's coat was open. He reached back in this fashion, exposing his white shirt front to the assassin's window. He reached back as if to offer aid or ask the president something. At that moment, a shot clearly hit the governor in the front, and he fell back in the seat. Mrs. Connolly immediately threw herself over him in a protective position. In the next instant, with this time Mrs. Kennedy apparently looking on, a second shot, the third total shot, hit the president's head. His head could be seen to move violently forward. And Mrs. Kennedy stood up immediately.
What was that? What was that? His head was seen to move violently forward. So this is the most replayed on the video because everyone goes back here and watches and replays that.
President's head. his head could be seen to move violently forward.
Now we know that's absolutely a lie, and that the CIA-controlled media planted that false narrative in the American public's mind, and that the official Zapruder film that we can now watch on YouTube, that anyone can see, was shown for the first time on Geraldo.
Oh, that's right. It was a long
We
time.
need to save all the stuff like this before it gets edited.
By Lee Harvey Oswald alone.
Yeah, so this is March 6, 1975 on Good Night America, and this is the first time that the Zapruder film was shown to the American public. And it's a very poor quality version, very,
I've always wondered about that. Okay, you know the headshot? Where he kind of like goes like this right before we see the headshot? I always wondered if maybe he was just grazed at first and that's why he went that, or maybe, like a fly or something, you just kind of do it out of reaction. I kind of wonder if maybe there was, he either got grazed or, maybe something small hit him on a ricochet or something. And that's the reason why he put up his hand like that.
First shot happens behind the freeway sign. It happens right before he emerges from the freeway sign, because you can see his hands go up to his throat and he starts grabbing at his throat. Right as the
front, maybe you're thinking? Are you thinking from the front, Jeremy?
Well, he gets shot through the throat, and this is where the windshield's cracked too. Right here, there's a crack.
Oh, that's right. There was a crack in the windshield. Yeah.
So, they took the whole limousine out and replaced it all. They went and redid the whole thing before they even put it in evidence and brought it. Like it was, the whole thing was redone. The whole windshield was replaced to hide the extra bullet holes and stuff too. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, he comes out from the right before he gets from the Stemmons freeway sign is right when he gets shot in the throat. So there's a bullet in his throat or something. His hands go up into this position, and there's a medical surgeon who says when you get shot like it's like a thing that your body will react and do this kind of thing. So this is what he does. So he's grabbing at his throat. Okay, that's the first shot. Now the second shot, okay. You can see that there's a second shot in here somewhere. So Connolly's here now, turning around, looking backwards to look back. It's to see what's going on. He turns around completely back that way. He's looking at JFK.
Yeah, he looks like he's hurt there.
Oh yeah, he was hit in the throat, I think, right?
All right, so he gets hit right here somewhere. Okay, so Connolly doesn't get hit till right there somewhere. Because look, Connolly's sitting here, staring right at JFK, looking right at him, of course, and then right around here somewhere, he gets hit. Because look at all of a sudden, before the headshots happen, now his head's turned sideways and he's wailing in agony. Okay.
Man, yeah, it's awful.
And then the third shot happens. So it's hard to think. And then his head goes back into the left. So Dan Rather clearly lied about the president's head was seen to move violently forward. No, it didn't.
Yeah, boy, they made him say that too, because he's reading from a script. It's quite clear.
Yeah, he is. And the CIA wrote it.
He looks like he's got a gun to his head as he was reading it.
Hey, where was the bullet hole in the windshield?
Very high to the top of the window.
Yeah, so you can see it right here, this little white
part.
Okay,
that's it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm wrong, man.
So that would mean that the person would basically have to be directly ahead of them.
Is that in the glass? I don't know if that's it.
I thought it was towards the top. I could be totally wrong, man. I don't know. I'm not up to par on this.
We had a film copy instead of a video copy.
But you can definitely see that Connolly gets hit and he's turning around facing this other way, but it's at a whole different time period. It couldn't have been so if that was the first shot missed and hit it accounted for the bullet hole in the side. The first shot missed. The second shot hits Kennedy right before he emerges from the Stemmons freeway sign. Why do you have Connolly turning around completely looking at him and then right here before the third shot that's when he goes and puts his head back. I mean, you watch this, right? He puts his head back.
Those people in the background are clearly larger than they are too. They should be
Probably
smaller.
wondering if he's alive. He probably had blood sprayed all
Good
over
point,
him.
Anthony. That's a good point. They are all larger. Like, they should be much smaller in proportion to that vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, look at the person diving. That one seemed proportional, and then that's strange.
Video angles can play tricks though when you're go back a little bit.
Let's first, but
go
I
back
mean,
a little
if you
bit,
look at
Jeremy.
it,
I want to see these people.
If you look at the woman that's where the two people standing, the woman that's in the orange dress, she is clearly much larger than she should be.
What would they have done? I don't understand. What would the
filmmakers would have had to remove the background completely and change around parts of the film to like change around events, like,
and then it would have to match that other film though. Remember, there's another film that they're filming from across there. It would have to match that one. So I mean,
so we get the next
I
film.
don't understand but why would they do it? It's what I'm asking. Why would they?
Mikey Does is saying he says his lawyer told him he was on the Warren Commission. Fascinating.
I mean, video can play tricks on your eyes, man. Angles and stuff like that.
That's what I thought at first, but just based on the size alone, you know, they're about 10 feet behind, yet they're clearly larger.
That woman in that orange jacket you're talking about, yeah, she looks like she's 10 feet tall. I noticed.
It's Mary Mormon.
Yep.
Huh. The dress was a signal, someone says. That dress. You mean that jacket? Yeah, she had an orange, it looked like an orange jacket. That bigger than the film from the top. CUT stuff, special effects. Okay. Portions off. Yeah, I believe that. The background was spliced in. Notice how the crowd is lined up like the robots alongside of the road. It's all fake. That's what Charles Milligan says.
It does look like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would be really hard for them to like completely fake and do something with it. I heard like some frames were removed or missed or moved around in it. That's what I heard, is that they edited by removing.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Stuff
I
around.
don't think it was completely faked. I just think they
could have blew that section up and spliced it in and refilmed all of it.
Yeah, right, Dan. What you're saying makes the most sense, I think.
Yeah, and but why? That's what I don't understand. What are they? They're trying to cover something up so you can't see something. They don't want us to see something that may be visible back from this side.
Something just disappeared,
right? What do you think, Bern? What do you think, brother? Been a while.
It's very sus,
Jeremiah,
to say the least. Oh, maybe that was just the mouse cursor going over.
It's an incredible. It's a horrible story, but the conspiracy end of it's so insane. There's so much going on. Tell you one thing that's a good, and there's, I think they're on BitChute. The Jesse Ventura conspiracy theory show on this was pretty darn good. He had gotten into it with the former LA prosecutor that swears and declares it was Oswald and stuff like that. Man, they really got into it, and that's where the E. Howard Hunt confession comes into play. With his son, was on that show. Was on the Jesse Ventura show.
Yeah, and
wasn't that Bugliosi? I think that was
Bugliosi or whatever.
But do you know Bugliosi was like he was like the prosecutor for the Manson case, and it later came
that's exactly the guy. Yeah, him and Jesse Ventura. If you type it in, you'll see him and Jesse Ventura arguing.
I've seen that.
Because Ventura's arguing it's not Oswald, and Bugliosi is saying it is, and it's
he's an MK Ultra. He prosecuted Charles Manson to hide the CIA's involvement with MK Ultra. And
that's
Manson.
the guy, man. You got it.
He's a cover-up guy.
Is he? That
he's
makes
CIA.
sense.
Yeah, he's totally friggin' Bugliosi's like totally like CIA cover-up guy, man.
Shit.
He's the bug-out Bugliosi. The bug-out Bugliosi comes in to cover it all.
That's the thing is, man, if Bugliosi's the prosecutor on the on the Manson murder trial. He's
Mhm.
obviously covering up for the CIA there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to wonder what he's doing for the CIA with the JFK assassination. It is.
Maybe we should look into what else he's done.
Yeah,
He's been involved in a number of the highest profile cases there are. Yeah.
It's so basically the corruption peak of the Biden criminal gang that we see today is that evolving over 3 generations, I guess, right? Or like
Scary, man. We live in scary times. We're like so close to nuclear war right now, and no one even that I know of even thinks anything of it or knows anything of it. It's like you don't see what's going on. You're not worried about what's going on with us in Russia right now, and it's very serious, man.
It is.
That destroying the pipeline, that could have got us in a war.
That was an act of war. It's absolutely
It's
insane.
been they claim that they're never bringing the price of wheat back down ever. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, man. When they activated that Satan II missile the other day, they said in 6 minutes that missile, which holds like 50 other missiles inside of it, 6 minutes, it can destroy all of the United Kingdom in 6 minutes. From the time it hits the United Kingdom, the whole United Kingdom, just with one missile, which it's over 100 feet tall, and it's got 20 or 30 missiles inside of it.
Yeah, and each one of them are the hypersonic re-entry pods. It's absolutely
Satan
insane.
2? Is it the Satan 2 it's called, right?
Yeah, you got it. It's
I saw it on Timcast. Timcast posted all about it, man.
Yeah, watch him all the time.
It's
and it's
scary,
like
bro.
they have up
a little bit more stable than our
50
government.
like 50 re-entry vehicles of the hypersonic re-entry vehicles within one of those. It's like
each one of those times ever, man, and you don't even hear anybody talking about it.
Is that nuclear propelled too? I know they said something.
No, that one's not. That's not even their nuclear propelled ones. They do have nuclear propelled ones, and they will go indefinitely. They last indefinitely in the atmosphere until they choose a target.
1,500 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb.
The story with the Jesse Ventura conspiracy theory show was also the #1 show on the entire network when they canceled it.
Are you serious? The
That's when they
JFK one.
canceled the #1 show. Yep.
The JFK one. Wow.
No, the whole show, the conspiracy theory, the show in general, man. They were getting really good ratings, man. People love that content.
He was doing great work. He was doing
pissed
real
them off
research.
with one show, and I think it was the one that had to do with oh man, what was it? And he explains it. It was one show they did. Darn it. I can't remember because it's been 10 years, at least 12 years.
He showed some of the things for 9/11 too, like the giant piece of steel that was bent around at a 90-degree without breaking.
Yeah.
So it clearly heated up.
Yeah, he showed some good stuff,
The whole
man. But
mystery
he got
said
like
the steel never exceeded 350 degrees though.
he got a lot caught up in a lot of disinformation too on that show. He got like led down some of the wrong rabbit holes and stuff too on some of that. But
Alex Jones on
the shows were definitely dumb. But
remember Jones was on a bunch of shows with him.
And what happened to June Sarpong, man? I never she was like great on that show. I thought she had like a whole future ahead of herself, man. Like
probably was destroyed over that show, right?
They probably like blacklisted her because all right, she knows too much. We can't,
She was really smart. She's like an English accent.
To Bearden. They said on one of their episodes that Bearden, I guess, scared the hell out of one of their reporters, so they quit.
No, wait a minute. What's this?
One of their reporters that went to interview Bearden, that he had told him that people that ask about Star Wars and the weapons programs tend to disappear, have accidents. I guess it scared the person so much she quit.
Yeah, there was a number of things that Jesse Ventura got involved in. And then he'd go right down to DC, and he pissed the wrong people off. And that show was canceled, man. It was
that one that talked about the what was it called? It was the Tesla shield and something else. Real big guy that was involved in the secret programs himself. that was talking about that we have the scalar type weapons, and he
Yeah,
said they
yeah.
can destroy continents, and he died in like the next day or two.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't. Oh, that's right. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't
They
remember
went
the
to
guy's
interview
name.
him,
You
and
know
he
what
was
I'm talking
dead.
It was Tom. It was Tom Bearden.
No, it was another person. Tom Bearden was the one that had interviewed where she quit, but the person that died, that was a separate story. That
Yeah,
they
it
were
was a
talking about,
guy, and it was real weird,
all of the
man.
people, and he had mentioned one of the
Gus
weapons that
Grissom,
can
maybe
destroy
his name?
continents.
Gus
He had
Grissom.
said.
Died in the hotel room where Ventura was supposed to like interview him at or whatever. I'm serious. It was that weird.
No, this was 67. This guy died, so it couldn't have been him. Not Gus Grissom. Sorry. Try again. Anyone else got another name I can
No,
look
it
up?
wasn't a NASA guy. It was.
Well, let's now look into Gus Grissom's story because that might
Oh
be a
my
whole other
goodness.
rabbit hole.
That's a guy there that pissed off all of his bosses, and he ended up. Oh, the way he died is horrible. Good goodness. Gus Grissom taught NASA a hard lesson.
Yeah, they were saying that he was lying for years or something, right? And
Yeah, remember he hung a lemon on the limb?
I think it's the guy that was in the last episode that was called Brain Invaders.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. It was a long time.
Yeah, I'm looking up the episode.
Fred Bell, that one guy said that rings a bell for some reason, literally.
Yeah,
Fred Bell, I think it was him.
He spoke out on. He's made at least one other video where he was talking about this. That's on YouTube, but I can't remember the guy's name. I'm thinking it's Tim something. I can't remember. But he had said that it's basically, like mind control type weapons, and that they can destroy continents.
That's right. There's his son. I forgot all about him. You don't see any of these guys anymore.
yeah, what happened to Tyrell Ventura?
Yeah, Tyrell Ventura, and then remember
He had the Buzzsaw show with the something else too.
with what's his name's son, the guy that did the movie about
Aren't
JFK.
they both down in Mexico now? Like they literally had to flee America.
Yeah, well, they didn't have to, but he prefers to stay in the Baja. He says it's called where he's at. Yeah, Ventura's something else, man.
I think he's epic.
Yeah,
I looked up on IMDb, but it doesn't list the people they interviewed. Oh, hold it. Oh, maybe here.
It's like I used to body slam people, then I was governor, now I'm investigating conspiracies.
Yeah,
a lot of did a lot. You know,
Nick Bajic. I think that's it, right?
Nick Begich. He was killed flying. Or no, Nick Begich is still alive, isn't he?
Yeah, not him. This guy was like really large.
No, this is not him. This is not Nick Begich.
Or Nick Begich's father was killed flying in Alaska. Nick Begich, yeah.
Yeah, he disappeared.
He disappeared. Wow. In 72, he disappeared. Holy crap. Huh. They're Alaskans.
Oh wow! So this was in 72, and in the plane and or any of its 4 occupants have never been found. Man,
That happens a lot in Alaska, though. Believe it or not.
Imagine that someone could find them though. Like this
Yeah,
got to be like someone years from now they're gonna, after global warming heats up Alaska and turns it into the only habitable place left on the planet. Right.
It's scary, isn't it? I mean, you think about it because it's going to be high enough elevation, maybe.
Oh, so did anyone see the new video with the methane crath rates?
No.
Yeah, so someone's this was the
I have to interject to Dharma here. That Raytheon guy is Eric Hecker, and I have an upcoming interview with Eric Hecker and Dutch Sense together on September 8th at noon p.m. or noon, p.m. Pacific.
Eric
You
has
guys are
quite
welcome
the
to join
temper.
in if you want to.
Eric has quite the temper. Remember Jeremy? He came on your show a couple of times. And,
Yeah.
all I did was go to ask him a question not long ago, and man, he has quite the temper. It was before he was on I think he was on the Sean Ryan show and all that stuff, and he was all stressed out, I guess, because there was all these. Greer got a hold of him and stuff like that. But you're talking about the Eric Hacker from Alaska.
Yes, sir. Yes,
right,
sir.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a story to tell. He lived at South Pole Station.
Right, for a full year.
Yeah, and that's rare. Most of the time it's a 6-month gig, and they force you to come back. He switched jobs when he was down there in like the summer or whatever. Very weird, very weird story. But what he says, man, is pretty. He claims there's a lot of weird stuff going on down there, man. I'm not gonna get into it.
So this is Anton Petrov did this video where he talks about the methane cloth rates and that we might be like going into irreversible global warming, catastrophic runaway global warming.
Okay, and why is that happening? Because of the methane rate.
Because it's like frozen methane in like tons of these ice crystals at the bottom of the permafrost and stuff. And once that melts, it's going to release all that methane into the atmosphere. And methane, as I mentioned, like the cow farts, it's like it's 20 times the greenhouse gas that CO2 is, or I forget like how many.
Yeah, well, they're talking about cutting down all the trees over it. Yeah, I was reading about that the other day. It's real weird, man. Cutting down all kinds of trees. Did you see that? Now they're talking about cutting down all kinds of trees.
Hey, I put a link in the private chat for. I found that that episode. If it's about 3:20 to 3:30, shows that person. I didn't want to play it because I didn't want to.
All right.
Green Invaders. Yes, that is one of the shows. Yeah.
Where is that at? 20 minutes?
Yeah, that was a
3
darn
minutes,
good
20
show,
seconds.
man. That show was so suspenseful. You just don't. TV's not that good anymore.
Let me share it so you can hear it.
Yeah.
Daily Motion.
Oh, here it is. Dr. Terry Robertson. It's at 3:04 is when he first introduces.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. That's not the guy. That's one of the persons talking about it. The next person, that's kind of like really large guy, is the one that was actually involved in developing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Eric does.
38:20. That's what that person is. It's at 38 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, Eric's something else, man. He's CIA station chief who suffered from.
Where do you find this stuff, bro? This is memory hold. All right. This is all like stuff that's been memory hold. And I found it because I was there for it when it came out. Like we watched this years ago. So, yeah.
It's been shut off since like 2012, I bet you, Jeremy. 2013, right?
Hell yeah, man. They did a number on a lot of this info.
And there was one specific episode that shut it off, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was the when he started going around to those internment camps or whatever they were, something
The
like
FEMA
that.
camps, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. The FEMA camps, yeah, yep. And he bothered that one congressman right on camera, and that's what did it, man.
There's a guy, Breary. I've got this name wrong, but it's close. It's like Breary Trower, like Brari something Trower. He's a microwave weapons expert. That he said he worked on a lot of these weapons. Also, he's also like has a physics background, and he's made a few videos talking about different microwave weapons.
Yeah, that the voice of God, weapon, that's not like a secret. They've talked about that before. Am I right about that, Jeremy, or am I wrong?
we're getting close to about 3 hours here, man, and you know what? I'm gonna wrap up the live stream on here shortly, guys. So if you want to share anything or say anything before we wrap this up, now is your chance. Yeah, I don't know, man. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into all these detailed like weeds. This is time for the after party backstage. So there's the StreamYard link for everyone that wants to jump on and hang out and stuff and kind of hash this stuff out. I don't know how much longer I can stay on.
Excellent episode tonight, my friend.
Yeah, this was fun, man. I don't know how it gets to be this
undeniable evidence.
Well, it's a lot of stuff, man. A lot of research. So it's just crazy how it's. I thought that we were only going for like a half hour when I did that debate with Shermer, and it's like, wow, 2-3 hours went by, dude. It's like crazy, you know, just how much information there is, and when you go deep diving, like how long it can take. Because
so many different connections.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So
and before you go, you got a 24-hour stream or watch party on 9/11 or something you're doing, or what's that about?
Yeah, so September 4th is today. So when's
Monday?
Oh, right.
So I'm supposed to get back to work that day.
It's another, so this would be next Monday, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some programming lined up. I'm going to have some guests. So I already got Jason Burmis agreed to jump on with me. I'm going to try to have some more other guests for 9/11 people. And we're just going to show because there's a ton of 9/11 documentaries, and I'll probably put those on a playlist and just play them and just show them, just broadcast.
You mind if I co-stream that with you? That sounds pretty epic.
Yeah, so we'll just do the all-day thing. I want to do some footage from the day. I'm going to play a couple documentaries like Core of Corruption, which is a great ensemble of all the original news footage, like the stuff that they memory hold and got rid of years ago. So we're going to show some stuff that people haven't seen. It's not well known, and we're just going to do an all-day.
And we'll make sure it's restreaming on Rumble and Odyssey as well, so they can't shut it down.
We should cross-platform that. Let's talk about it and get it set up. And anyone else who wants to be involved, let me know.
And you're gonna go backstage now with the
we're gonna a lot of the high-level connections too, like how somehow NORAD's communication was messed up. It's like not just anybody could have access to that. You know, not even killing the videos. It's like, how on earth did you get access to NORAD communications where NORAD couldn't call out?
All right, guys,
that's definitely something on the inside.
Let's I'm gonna shut this down for right now. Thank you all for watching, Alien Scientists. Don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate all the new memberships and all the super chats, guys. Thank you so much. Can't do it without you. You guys are awesome. And go, if you haven't checked out the debate I did with Michael Shermer, go check out that. It came out on DarkHorse just a couple days ago. DarkHorse podcast with Brett Weinstein. And thank you guys. You're fabulous, and we're digging down the rabbit hole, going deep. And I'm glad we could flush out a lot of this information. Feel free to jump in. The StreamYard link is there. Anyone wants to jump in and share some information, hang out at the after party. Thank you all so much. And go subscribe to Bernard over at Crypto Alchemist too, and check out Bernard's channel. Thank you, Bernard, again for joining us tonight. And thank you everyone for watching. Have a great night.
Am I in the right one?
Thank you. Good night.
That Michael Shermer guy is a real thing.